I'm Abrielle Millett with BYU-Idaho Radio, and today I'm here with Shelly Norman. She's the INL ambassador, and she's here to tell me about the EBR-I tours that are opening up to the public on Friday, the 22nd. So before we get started, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and how did you get to be in this position?
You know, Abrielle, it is really just good luck, right? This is the best job. I work at Idaho
Mm-hmm.
National Lab. This is really the best job out there. I am from St. Anthony. And when I went to college, I just kept going. I was at BYU and then never came back. Ended up in Washington State at a newspaper there for 20 years. I have a communications degree. But I got laid off to the paper and there's another national lab up there. And I was there for a little short-term project, maybe about a year. But I saw this job advertised and I was wanting to come home. My mother is still alive and my siblings are here. So I wanted to come home, and the job of tour guide, but it was then. I was like, that is so amazing that you could be a tour guide at INL, because growing up in this area, the only thing I knew about INL is you can't know anything about INL, right? Like, oh, it's
Mm-hmm.
their super secret lab. Yeah, the one thing I knew is wrong because it's not super secret. So, yeah, I spend the day driving around telling people all about the fascinating work that we're doing at INL.
That's cool. You said, so you drive around. Is this to visit certain places like schools or things like that? Or what do you mean by like
You
driving out to places?
driving around. Yep. So there's several, um, schools come, industry partners come. Um, that's for the lab itself. For
Mm-hmm.
the museum, people just show up at the museum. It's open 7 days a week, and there's no charge. And so we're open those summer months, Memorial Day weekend to Labor Day.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and people can just show up. And it's so interesting. People usually between Craters in the Moon and West Yellowstone, right? That's
Yeah.
kind of a little summer route. And most people have no idea that we're out there or have never been there. Even people that have lived in Idaho their whole lives, right? Like, oh, yeah, I've heard about this, but I've never been. This is my first time. So last year we had about 13,000 people come visit during those summer months.
Yeah. And reading it, EBR-I stands for Experimental Breeder Reactor. And
Hmm.
this is an atomic museum. Can you tell me, I guess, more like what do you show, or what's exactly in the museum?
Yeah, so there is a nuclear reactor in there. Um, well, it's the building for the reactor, but it's the world's first nuclear power plant. It's not just the first one in Idaho, and it's not just the first one in the United States, but in the whole world. This is the very first place where they made electricity by splitting the atom.
Wow. I didn't know
I
that.
know,
That's incredible.
I know. Yeah. So at the end of World War II, the whole world knew the United States could destroy something by splitting an atom,
Mhm.
because we dropped those very big bombs. The minutes before they dropped that first bomb, only a handful of scientists and a handful of politicians knew that they were working with this technology. And then afterwards, the whole world knew the destructive power of splitting an atom. About half of those nuclear scientists wanted to come someplace where they could really figure out the harnessed application of nuclear power of splitting the atom. And we've never been weapons out here. We've always been research and development, but specifically to nuclear power. You know what else is kind of cool?
Yeah, that's
Every single commercial nuclear power plant in the world traces its roots back to Idaho.
wow. That is a cool legacy. Not everyone can say that.
It is. It is. It is cool. And like I say, it's just sitting out there in the middle of the desert, and most of the people that come have no idea. Or we have signs out on the highway, and they're kind of like, oh, wonder what that is.
Uh-huh.
And then you get people who have been trying to get here for 30 years. It's been on their bucket list, because it's very significant in the industry. And so
Mm-hmm.
you get some people that have come from around the world and very specific, trying to get here and to see the museum.
Wow. That's definitely incredible. What is, I guess, has everyone who's gone through been like amazed? Like, what is the general, I guess, reaction once they do experience the museum and kind of come through and see it?
Yeah. Well, everybody isn't anything, right? Like
Yeah.
some people are like, huh, yeah, I didn't understand that. But I would say the majority of people, most people, are um, surprised and think it's really cool. There is a YouTuber, his channel is Smarter Every Day, and he came out and he has millions of followers. But he came out and did a couple of days of filming, and he walks through the museum. He is a mechanical engineer,
Hmm.
and one of our interns that year was a mechanical engineer. And so they're walking around, nerding out about just the smallest things, this paper dial, and he makes a little felt neutrons and splits the atom on these little sticks, kind of like a little puppet show.
Yeah.
Um, I would really recommend, maybe if you're planning to come, maybe look at that video first. And we also show it in the museum and you can look at it afterwards, but it would
Hmm.
really set the stage of what you're going to see.
No, that's amazing. I guess besides that, is there anything else that you would recommend to someone who's attending or gonna go visit? Something to like
Actually,
make it better.
actually, yes. There is a free app that you can download called Travel Stories. And stories is spelled with a Y instead of the IE.
Hmm.
It's called Travel Stories. It's a green speech bubble. But actually, even if you don't come to EBR-I, if you are living in East Idaho, you should download this app. It takes the GPS off of your phone and you're just driving along and it will say, there's a story here. And then on our case, it's a story of, there's two. One is Idaho National Lab. So when you're just driving out there, it will say, on the north side of the highway is the Materials and Fuels Complex. And then it tells a little story as you're driving, right? And
Hmm.
when you get to the museum, you can also walk through the museum and listen to the audio in the museum. But within 2 hours of Idaho Falls, there's like 20 of those travel stories. So if you just want to go out on a Sunday drive, like, oh, let's go find a travel story.
No, that's super cool. I didn't know an app was like that existed and
Mm-hmm.
has stories just right there.
Yeah,
That's super
yeah,
fun.
yeah. They're on-demand tours and there's a lot up into the Wyoming area and up to the parks. So
That's incredible.
I would recommend travel stories. I would recommend Smarter Every Day. Um, I would recommend um, if you wanted to go out to Craters of the Moon and stop at Pickles in Arco on the way back, and then come to EBR-I. That'd be a fun drive.
Hmm. Yeah, it sounds definitely trip worthy. Uh,
Uh-huh.
there's a lot of things in that corner that you can visit, like you said. The Idaho National Laboratory. What are, I guess, what do they do now, or how is that connected to the museum?
hmm So at like I said, at the end of the war, they came out and they wanted to figure out peaceful applications of nuclear energy. And so we have built, they came out in 1949 and their goal was to build 10 reactors and be here for 15 years. We have built 52 reactors so far, nuclear reactors that have been out there. But um, there's going to be a whole lot more because in May of last year, President Trump signs an executive order. Well, he said 4 executive orders um, helping industry innovate and bring nuclear online quickly.
Hmm.
And so we haven't built a new reactor out there for 50 years. but there's a deadline to have 3 reactors go critical by July 4th of this year. So there's so much innovation out there. The tagline for the lab is "We're changing the world's energy future." So we do a lot of nuclear work, but we also do a lot of work in other areas, critical infrastructure, cybersecurity. So
Yeah.
I think we really, really are changing the world's energy future.
Yeah, that's super exciting. Like you said, that it's they're building more. It's becoming more innovative and adding upon what it already has, and I think that's super exciting. That change and that shift to more science is definitely cool. It's ever growing, ever changing.
Yeah.
And this museum is, you said it was free and it's open every day from
It's
9 a.m.
actually,
to 7
yeah,
p.m.
5 p.m.
5 p. So
Yeah.
9 a.m. to
Yep. So
5
7
p.m.
days a week. Yeah. The 7 probably came from the 7 days a week. Yeah. Between Memorial Day weekends. So next Friday until Labor Day.
Yeah, and that's I guess that's only a couple months out of the year, right? It's not
Yeah.
year round.
Yeah. We can go in the off season, but we have to make special arrangements and, plan it. But this time you can just show up. You don't have to have a reservation. You just walk right in, and we have interns there that will offer guided tours. And we also have a pamphlet of self-guided tour if you just want to walk around on your own.
That's super
And I don't know if this would be super interesting, but twice a month we have a woman that is an architectural historian, and she takes care of the building from a historical side, making sure the architecture is true. And so she's out there. It's like Fridays, not every Friday, like I have a list here: June 5th, June 19th, July 3rd, July 17th, July 31st, August 14th, August 28th. But she's there in the museum, and so she can um, answer questions about the museum. But then she also does a different tour. So not so much the nuclear tour, but the tour of the building itself and the history that way. So those are at noon on those days.
That's super exciting and fun to also have, like you said, someone who can give a archaeology standpoint of the museum. Yeah. And you said, I think one of the dates you mentioned was June 5th.
Yep.
That she'd be here, and it would be at noon. When she'd be around. And with the
so she'll be there from 9 to 2, and then at noon she's giving the tour.
Okay, that's cool.
But if you want a regular tour, you can come anytime. Yep.
And you have on the website, is the website the Idaho National Laboratory website, or is there a separate one for the museum and ins and outs of that?
Yep, this one is inl.gov/EBR.
Yeah.
Experimental breeder reactor. One of the really significant things about this reactor is it's the first place to make electricity, but it's also the breeding part of EBR-I. They were making more fuel than they were using. So for every atom of fuel that they consumed, they created 1.27 atoms of new fuel. So it's a little bit different than commercial reactors now, where they're intentionally creating new fuel. So.
Yeah. For you said a lot of the interns are giving tours. So what kind of I guess internships are offered at the Idaho National Laboratory that someone might want to know about if they get really interested after seeing it?
Right?
Yeah.
We had last year about 500 interns at INL, so pretty much any discipline that you might study, you could have an intern here. The EBR-I interns, we're looking for people who um, like talking to people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, we have an intern that is a um, museum history or major. We have one that's a political science major. We had one that switched majors in the middle of his internship and went into data science. Like it can be pretty much any in discipline out there, but also across the lab. Like really anything you're studying, there's probably an internship for that at INL. I think, people think about, well, physics or chemistry or programming, right?
Yeah.
But we have communications interns and we have business interns and we have just pretty much anything you're going to study.
No,
We
that's
probably have an internship for that.
yeah, that's good to know, to hear about like how
Yeah,
big the opportunity could be for
yeah,
someone
yeah.
to.
And they're paid internships.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. That's a good thing for our listeners to know, to
Uh-huh.
to visit there, and if it's something definitely intriguing for them, they can possibly see if
Yeah.
they can do an internship there too. And it's
Mm-hmm.
celebrating,
Um,
is EBR one is celebrating 75 years, or is just the museum celebrating 75 years?
and so the museum, well, the reactor started, they made electricity for the first time on January 20th, 1951. So this will be 75 years since it became operational. It only ran till 1963. So it has not been a museum that long, but it was an operating reactor 75 years ago this year.
That's an anniversary worth remembering. 75 years. Um, so you said most of the time with the tours, you can just show up. Is there
Mm-hmm.
a way for people to schedule or plan out? Say they're gonna bring quite a few people. Would they
Yeah,
schedule that
yeah.
online?
So if you go to that inl.gov/EBR, the contact information is all there. So you could send an email or you could call and um, yeah, if you can bring a big group of heads up, it's nice.
Yeah. What do you hope people like get out of visiting the museum?
I think a lot of people do not understand nuclear, but in the back of their head, they're a little bit afraid of it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I want people to come to the museum. I want them to understand this rich history that's right here in Idaho, but I also want them to walk away a little better educated about the positive uses of nuclear and how it is really changing the world's energy future, but also making life better in Rexburg, Idaho.
Is there anything else that you would like to add before we close our discussion?
I appreciate your time. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about the museum. Um, I love it out there. I'm out there quite often, even though we have interns that really manage the museum all summer. I'm out there a lot, and it's such a great spot. I hope everyone will come and see it.
The tours for EBR1 opened Friday, May 22nd. That's when they're opening tours all the way through Labor Day. So if you have the opportunity, come to the museum and experience it, because from this conversation, I know this is something worth going to. So thank you so much, Shelly, for your time with me. I'm Abrielle Millett with BYU-Idaho Radio, and today I've been here with Shelly Norman, who's the INL ambassador.
Thank you, Abrielle.